Every story ends in a text. Welcome to Text Tales.
Ever since I can remember, I've never heard the word no. If I wanted something, it appeared. A car, a watch, a vacation, all just one call away. And I never thought a single moment could be enough to change all that. But it did. It all happened on my best friend's wedding. Daniel's wedding was supposed to be like every other event I'd attended. Expensive, elegant, predictable. The kind of night where everyone dressed in designer smiles and pretended to care about vows they didn't believe in. It was the world I knew best, a world of power, money, and surface-level sincerity. And I fit in perfectly. At least, I thought I did. The ballroom glowed gold under chandeliers imported from Italy. A jazz band played, soft enough to let the sound of crystal glasses and forced laughter fill the gaps. I knew every face in that room. CEOs, socialites, heirs. The same people I'd grown up watching perform this endless act of wealth. Money had a rhythm, and I'd learned to dance to it long before I understood what it meant to earn something. Then I saw her. She wasn't like the rest. No glitter, no arrogance, just calm. She stood beside the bride, adjusting the train of her dress, smiling in a way that didn't demand attention but drew it anyway. Her hair was loose, the kind of brown that caught light instead of reflecting it, and her eyes, soft, steady, carried something I hadn't seen before. Not the sharp curiosity of people who wanted something from you, but warmth, a kind of peace that made everything else in the room blur. Her beauty wasn't loud, it was quiet. The kind that didn't need validation because it existed effortlessly. The kind that made you forget what you were saying. She looked like someone who belonged to a different world, one that didn't care about mine. Beautiful, isn't she? Daniel's voice broke my stare. He was already grinning, drunk on celebration, champagne, and his own happiness. The maid of honor? I asked. Yeah, he said, leaning closer. Ava, don't even think about it. I laughed. You know me too well. I do, he said. And trust me, she hates people like us. I raised a brow. People like us? You know what I mean, he said, lowering his voice. The rich, the entitled, the ones who use money like an apology for everything else. She's not wrong, he added, shrugging. Her father's company was one of the smaller firms crushed in one of your dad's acquisitions years ago. She grew up watching people like us win at the cost of everyone else. I looked back toward her. She was laughing with one of the bridesmaids, unaware of me, unaware of the name that carried so much weight in her world. She hates everything I am, I said quietly. Daniel nodded. Exactly. So don't make it harder on yourself. But the problem was, I'd never been good at listening, especially when told not to chase something. After that night, I just couldn't forget her. There was something about her stillness that stayed. I visited Daniel and his wife, Sophie, a week later. We talked, and eventually, Ava's name came up. Sophie smiled knowingly. She's kind, humble, honest, but she doesn't trust people who've never struggled. That night, I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was what Daniel had said. She hates everything I am. Maybe that was true, but what if I could show her who I could be? The next morning, I told my parents I wanted to take a break from work, to travel, disappear for a while, find myself. My father barely looked up from his tablet. Do whatever you want, Ryan. Just don't embarrass the company while you're at it. They thought it was another spoiled whim. But I wasn't leaving. I just needed the world to believe I was. Because from that day on, every time I met Ava, she would never meet him. The rich man with a last name that built empires. She'd meet someone else, someone ordinary, someone she could trust. The first time I saw myself in the mirror wearing plain clothes, I almost laughed. No tailored jacket, no watch that screamed value, just a faded hoodie, jeans that didn't fit perfectly, and sneakers I bought at a department store for the first time in my life. It wasn't about changing who I was, it was about hiding what I'd been. The art gallery looked smaller in the daylight. Inside, Ava was there, sleeves rolled, adjusting a frame on the wall. For a second, I just stood there frozen. I must have rehearsed 100 things to say in my head, but every line felt wrong. She turned and looked at me. You were at Daniel's wedding, right? She asked. Relief hit like air after holding your breath too long. Yeah, I said, smiling. You probably don't remember me, but I saw you there. Just a friend? She asked. Just a friend, I nodded. She laughed softly. Lucky you. I spent half the night pretending to understand business jokes. Her laugh wasn't loud or forced. It was real, the kind that reached her eyes. And somehow, it made my heart race faster than any deal I'd ever closed. That small exchange shouldn't have meant much. But for me, it was everything. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the man everyone already knew. I felt like someone I actually wanted to be. Officially, I was traveling the world. But my father never truly let me vanish. 2 calls a week, reminders that Carter blood doesn't retire. The art gallery became my escape. At first, I just stopped by. Then I stayed longer. By the 3rd visit, she offered me coffee. Cheap, bitter, perfect. By the 4th, I didn't even pretend to look at the art anymore. We talked about her mom's shelter, her dreams of teaching art to kids who couldn't afford supplies. She spoke about freedom like it was a color she could see and I couldn't. Every night I walked home instead of calling my driver. Every light I passed reflected 2 versions of me. The man I was born as and the man I was pretending to be. And for the first time, I couldn't tell which one I wanted to keep. 2 months later, my illusion shattered on its own. That afternoon, I stopped by the gallery early. Ava wasn't there yet, so I helped move some boxes near the front desk. When I bent down, I noticed a newspaper. Ryan Carter returns from World Tour. Expected to join father's expansion plans. There was a photo of me beside my father. Before I could hide it, Ava walked in. You're early again. She stopped, her eyes locking on the headline. Ryan, is this you? Ava, please. How long have you been lying to me? Since the beginning, I admitted. She laughed bitterly. All those nights you said you were trying to find who you are, and all this time, you were pretending to be someone else. I didn't mean for it to start that way, I said. At first, I just wanted to talk to you, to know you, but the more time I spent with you, the harder it became to tell the truth. I liked you, Ava, more than I planned to. I fell for you before I even realized it. She looked at me, not with anger, but disappointment. Then tell me, Ryan, she said softly, who fell for me? The man who came to my gallery covered in paint? Or the billionaire who hid behind someone else's pain? I didn't have an answer. She set the paper down and whispered, maybe when you figure that out, you'll understand why this hurts so much. Then she walked out. And just like that, the quietest truth in my life became the loudest thing I'd ever heard. The next morning, my father summoned me. He didn't greet me when I entered. He just sat behind his desk, the same massive slab of oak that had seen more deals than conversations. You disappeared for months, he said finally. And now, when I need you to close one deal, you refuse to show up. What the hell is going on with you, Ryan? I needed time, I said. Time for what? You think the world waits for you? You've had everything handed to you since the day you were born. Education, money, opportunity. And now you suddenly want to take a moral break? I just wanted to breathe, he scoffed. You don't get to breathe. You carry my name. You were supposed to build on what I created, not walk away from it. I didn't ask for any of this, I said, my voice firming. No, you didn't. But you inherited it, and that comes with responsibility. I built this empire from nothing. I clawed my way through people who wanted to see me fail. You can't even sit through one meeting without questioning what it means. Maybe that's the problem, he frowned. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done pretending that success is worth anything if it costs people their peace, their homes, their lives. I've watched you buy companies just to crush them. You call it business. I call it destroying lives you'll never even meet. His voice rose. That's the world, Ryan. Either you win or you get eaten. You think morals will protect you from that? No, but they'll protect me from becoming what I hate. He stared at me for a long moment. "So what then?" he asked quietly. "You're just going to walk away? Throw away your inheritance, your name, your place in this company?" "If it means not hurting people to stay here," I said, "then yes, I'll leave it all behind." He went still. Then, almost coldly, he said, "You're weak. Maybe. But at least I can finally look in the mirror without hating the person staring back." He didn't stop me. He didn't even look up. And that silence, his silence, was louder than any fight we'd ever had. Days blurred. Then Sophie visited. "She misses you," she said. "She was hurt. Not wrong. There's a difference." She left a key on my table. "To the gallery," she said quietly. When I finally went, Ava was there, painting, unaware of me. "I didn't come to explain," I said. "I came to apologize. I should have trusted you with the truth. I thought I could be both men, but I ended up losing both. I left the company, Ava. I walked away from everything. I'm not proud of how I handled it, but what I felt for you, that was real." She stared at me for a long moment. "You really did leave?" "Yeah, I did. If that was the wall between you and me, I had to break it." Even if it meant walking away from everything else, her expression softened. Not quite a smile, not quite forgiveness, but something in between. "You're insane." "Probably," I smiled. "But maybe that's the only part of me that's real." Weeks later, we started over, slowly. Coffee instead of apologies, conversations that didn't need fixing. My father still calls sometimes. We're not close, but we're not strangers anymore. Maybe that's enough. Sometimes Ava still asks, half teasing, "Do you miss it? The cars, the suits, the world that listens when you speak?" And I always tell her the truth. I don't miss what I had. I miss who I thought I was, but I like who I'm becoming. She smiles at that. And in that smile, I finally find what I'd been chasing all along. Not wealth, not redemption, just peace. Hope you liked today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales every week. And if you have story ideas or twists you'd love to see, drop them in the comments below. We read every single one.